No one noticed the man in the corner booth. He wore faded jeans, a weathered baseball cap pulled low, and a gray hoodie that masked the sharp lines of his face. He looked like just another loner grabbing a cheap cup of coffee, just another silent customer in a half-empty diner on a rainy Wednesday morning. But he noticed her. The young waitress with trembling hands and a forced smile. Her name tag read, Maya. She moved from table to table like a ghost of herself, barely heard, barely seen, her uniform a size too big and her shoes so worn they flapped when she walked. There was something about the way she tucked her wild curls behind her ears every few seconds, trying to appear composed, professional, when clearly, she was falling apart inside. He watched her all morning. Not because he was nosy. Not because he was judging. But because he knew what desperation looked like. What he didn't expect, what no one in that diner could have expected, was what he'd witnessed behind the building, after the lunch rush died down and Maya disappeared for her break. She thought no one was watching when she knelt beside the trash dumpster. But he was. And what he saw would change everything. Maya was 23, though she looked older. Poverty has a way of aging you, stealing your glow, your energy, your spark. Her mother, once a vibrant soul who danced in the kitchen, was now bedridden, her body wrecked by a stroke that left her partially paralyzed and mute. Maya had no siblings, no close family, and no one else to help. The diner job was the only thing keeping them afloat. Barely. Her boss was cold and cruel, a man named Rick who owned 2 other greasy diners in the city. He didn't believe in overtime, gave no benefits, and deducted pay for the slightest infraction. If Maya showed up 2 minutes late, he docked an hour. If she forgot to refill salt shakers, he screamed loud enough for customers to hear. But she stayed. Because she had to. Every night, Maya walked home with aching feet and an empty stomach. The tips were few, the shifts long, and the food? She could never afford the food she served. That Wednesday, she hadn't eaten in 36 hours. Not since the last slice of bread she gave her mother. That morning, she drank tap water just to feel full. When the lunch rush ended and her stomach screamed for mercy, she stepped out into the rain-soaked alley behind the diner. The smell of garbage made her gag, but then she saw it, a half-eaten sandwich someone had tossed into a bag sitting on top of the trash bin. Still in its wrapper. Still barely touched. She looked around, saw no one. Shaking, ashamed, and crying, she reached for it. The man in the hoodie had a name. Elliot Hayes. He wasn't just anyone. He was the founder and CEO of Hayes and Harvest, one of the most successful farm-to-table food chains in the country. He believed in honest food, sustainable work, and human dignity. But recently, whispers of employee mistreatment at one of his franchises had reached his desk. So, he went undercover. He visited every franchise over the last 2 weeks, but none shook him like what he saw at Rick's diner. Maya didn't know that behind the stack of crates near the alley door, someone had followed her. Seen her trembling hand open the sandwich wrapper. Seen the tears spill as she whispered, "I'm sorry," to no one before taking her first bite. Elliot turned away and leaned against the wall. His throat burned, his fists clenched. This wasn't just corporate failure, it was human failure. He knew then, this wasn't about fixing one restaurant. It was about changing a life. Elliot didn't confront her that day. He watched, observed, took mental notes. Every belittling word from Rick. Every ignored request from Maya. Every customer who overlooked her like she was furniture. He returned the next day. Then the next. Until he knew everything, her routine, her kindness to every homeless man who walked in, the way she had bruises on her arms, probably from exhaustion or from bumping into sharp corners during her frantic rushes. The way she smiled at children even when her eyes were red from crying. On the 4th day, he left a $100 tip with his coffee cup. Maya chased him down the street to return it. "I think you made a mistake," she said, her voice shy. "No mistake," he replied with a smile. "That was the best coffee I ever had." She stared at him like no one had said something kind to her in years. That night, he began to write. Emails. Notes. Plans. He contacted his legal team, drafted a proposal, and made calls that set a quiet wave of changes in motion. But first, he had one more visit to make, to her. It was a Saturday evening when Elliot returned, this time dressed differently. A pressed suit, polished shoes, and a confidence that made Maya do a double take. She brought his coffee again, nervous. You look different today," she said, trying to smile. He took off his cap and looked her straight in the eye. "Maya, my name is Elliot Hayes. I'm not just a customer. I'm the CEO of a national restaurant chain. And I've been watching your strength." She froze. Then laughed nervously. "Right. And I'm the Queen of England." He gently placed his business card on the table. She stared at it, wide-eyed, then looked back at him, mouth open. "I saw what you did behind the dumpster," he said softly. "You were hungry. You did what you had to do. But Maya, that shouldn't be your story's ending. I want to help you rewrite it." Within a week, Rick's Diner was under review. Elliot bought it outright, rebranded it, and made it a pilot project for ethical employment. Rick was gone. The kitchen was upgraded. Wages were raised. Tips were pooled and fairly split. Staff received health benefits for the first time ever. And Maya? She wasn't a waitress anymore. Elliot offered her a full scholarship through the Hayes Foundation. She always wanted to study nutrition and public health, and now, she could. He set up care for her mother, gave them a safe apartment, and personally mentored Maya through the first months of school. At the diner's grand reopening, Maya stood in front of the crowd, no longer invisible. She spoke clearly, her voice strong. "There are people like me everywhere," she said. "People working until their bodies break, eating from trash because they're too proud to steal. All we need is someone to see us. Someone to believe." The video of Maya's speech went viral. Elliot never sought fame from the act. But the world saw the transformation. Donations poured in for other workers like Maya. The Hayes Foundation launched a nationwide Second Chance program, hiring and educating struggling youth in low-income communities. And Maya? She graduated with honors, opened a non-profit cafe that hires single mothers and feeds the homeless daily. She never forgot what it felt like to be hungry, unseen. But thanks to one man in a hoodie, who watched, cared, and acted, she would never feel that way again. And she made it her life's mission to ensure no one else did either.